Holy moly, welcome back to Andertons Tea, everybody. Andertons Tea, I lost the V. It's TV.
TV.
Who's with me today? It is none other than...
John.
Digital John.
Is that what you need? Is that what you need, Oz?
That's what I need.
That's what you need. Okay, so John has come down to Guildford today to time machine back to a land that before John was even born. I'm not even sure computers were around then, and if they were, they certainly weren't.
80s.
You know,
Yeah.
they were like Atari computers with cassette machines and floppy disk drives. But we like the 80s.
Very much.
And we're kind of feeling at the moment, it's, you know, 2022 is having this huge sort of 80s metal resurgence thing.
It is.
So if you watch up here, you may see a little video where John and I grab things like JCM 800s and classic guitar brands from the 80s and pedals, and, you know, we splurge some money on some 80s gear. And then we thought, what if we only had £500 to spend? How 80s could we get? So how much was your bandana, John?
For a pack of 5 on Amazon,
Yeah.
it was about £6.
£6. So really, we've got £494 to play
Yeah.
with then, because obviously that's essential. What did we choose from our wonderful store of things?
So if I move over slightly, we have
Yes.
a range from, we've got Boss, what things called, Boss, Line 6, Marshall and Fender. The 4 big players of combos for this sort of thing, I think. We've got well, let's go right to left. Mustang LT50 to here. I'm going to be playing through these two. And then next to that, Marshall Code 50. In similar price, are they?
I think these are all in that sort of 2 to 250 kind
Yeah.
of bracket, yes.
So not too expensive. They're about the same as the guitars, aren't they? They're about a 50-50 split cost-wise.
Yeah,
in
we've
the budget.
maybe gone slightly over on that, slightly under on these, well under on that orange one over there.
And then you've got Line 6 Catalyst 60, and then over there, Boss Katana.
Katana 50. And they're all, I mean, Boss would probably argue that theirs is maybe less digital, but we've kind of gone with these kind of modern day kind of modeling type amplifiers. So if we take you through, anyway, so we've spent $250 on the guitar amplifiers. We've spent anything from 150 over on that orange one up to about 300, I think, on the blue
Somewhere
one.
around that, yeah.
So we may slightly break our £50 budget on that. And we've got some super affordable Tube Screamer clones on the floor from Moore and Tone City and Behringer. So we'll see what those are like. But Monsieur Jean, with your Kramer, what is that, a Pacer? I forget now. It's a Kramer Pacer, isn't it? I
Pacer
think.
series Kramer.
We grabbed that because we kind of wanted something Floydy. Typically speaking, Floyd Rose guitars aren't really. If I was spending $250 on a guitar, I probably wouldn't look to buy a Floyd Rose on it because, you know, they are complicated bits of kit, the Floyd, and if you go too cheap, it's just more aggro than it's worth. But let's have a little listen before we go through the guitars. What is your basic, classic, I guess, Marshall-y rock tone on each of your amplifiers?
Yeah, so with the Fender, I presume there'll be close-ups of this because I'm blocking the view. I've gone for the 80s rock amp. I guess that's Marshall-esque inspired,
Probably.
Slightly scooped thing. With, I believe, let's go through that, small room reverb, and that sounds like this.
So quite a bit of gain.
Yeah.
And if you add the Tube Screamer, do we get that sort of...
So we're going to go through the Moore Green Mile. You can guess what that's based on. It's quite dark, actually. Let's put everything at noon. We're currently on the hot mode. Why not?
It's not doing the characteristic Tube Screamer-y thing for me, because it's almost, it's like a fat Tube Screamer, isn't it?
Let's bring in some more tone, hopefully some high end then. Still not, let's try the warm mode, which is probably not going to do much. Yeah, super rolled off. But again, that's the Green Mile by Moore. The Green Tube Overdrive by Tone City. Instantly more of a tube
That's
screamer,
much-
yeah. Again, here's without. Carves all that low end off.
And you've gone almost classic modern tube screamer setting, haven't you?
So I've
Drive all
taken,
the way down.
It's basically just more of a tone control more than anything, and giving it a bit more juice. So,
Because I've not done that with mine. I've gone almost more traditional overdrive pedal setting of just having some gain. What does it sound like with a bit, say, gain at midday on
so
that?
everything at noon. There's that.
We could, of course, go over the top 80s with these amplifiers, and maybe we will towards the end of the video by adding in delays and choruses and stuff like that, because that's all built in. But can we just head on over to the code?
Yes, so with the code on this, on the amp, I went for, I believe, JCM 800.
Of course.
So they've called it what it is, which is good. Obviously, Marshall can get away with doing it. And then, literally, just in terms of reverb, nice and simple as well. Stadium, I thought that was the most appropriate 80s verb. And here's how that sounds. Without a tube screamer, yep. That sort of like hiss.
I think it's got that more raspy, marshally tone.
Stuff. Yeah, it's nice. If I A-B that, the Fender had a sort of like low mid, like almost boutique-y thump thing to it, but nice and rock, I guess. And then, so here's that.
Are
with
you
the
back on the Fender now?
That's the Marshall.
Is it? I get so confused. Okay, sorry, I apologise.
So here's the Marshall with the green mile again. Tone sort of 3 o'clock, so almost all the way up level, noon, and warm mode first. Let's try it. Hot mode, see what that does. And again, overdrive's at the middle. If we absolutely gun it, let's just see what it can do in hot mode with all of that. Yeah, a nice amount of sustain. Not too much. It's not a distortion, but...
I must admit, I don't mind the code. I was quite impressed with it when it came out, and then I vaguely remember, didn't Katana come out like just after code, and kind of all the focus went to Katana, and then kind of periodically we sort of revisit the code, and I always think it sounds all right. I actually like the interface. You know, I know we probably not going to go too deep into things like that in this video, but I actually quite like the way the user interface works on the code.
And it's super light as well.
It was light.
I was amazed at how light that was.
What's the other tube screamer sound like? Or the tube screamer
Tone
copy?
City. Here's again, just without. With everything at noon. Different key. Let's go F sharp. Oh, that's great. It keeps all the high end in. I like this one.
Yeah, I don't mind it. It's kind of like raspy sort of sound, isn't it?
So, yeah, let's just gun it. Might as well see how much you can give. There. Yeah.
Nearly. Before we move off of this guitar, so I think this was $2.99, something like that. Several different colours available. But tell me why you might want a Floyd Rose versus why you might not want a Floyd Rose, and why was it so 80s?
If you want to get that full-on 80s flamboyance, I'd say is the word, with all of the like stuff, all the dive bomb, but also above, I would say a Floyd is what you want to go for. And there's tons of that in 80s stuff, all over the place, from Vi all the way to like, I'm going to say the pop metal. And you want to go Floyd, obviously, because it's locking and it has a locking nut with it. So that means that your tuning's going to just stay in check most of the time. Not always, as we've found today. But, you know, with different guitars and how they're made, they'll generally stay in tune pretty well with the Floyd. And they're sort of the unit for that sort of thing, aren't they, in terms of bridges. But if, you know, you just want to sort of tune with the normal machine heads and just have a bit of, like, I don't know, vibrato on chords and get, you know, a bit of taste with that, then I would say not go for a Floyd. But the 80s is all about the Floyd, I think. So that's why most of these, if not all of them, have some sort of bridge. That one doesn't have a Floyd on the East Coast.
There's no Floyd. That's the only one with the Floyd.
Is it? Is this the only one with the Floyd?
I kind of, typically speaking, there's not a great deal of choice for Floyd Rose guitars below.
Actually, that's a good point. Yeah.
Sort of 350, 400 quid.
How much would the Floyd go for in itself?
Well, so there's typically 3 versions of the Floyd. If you go for the original Floyd Rose, which is what you'll find on a guitar that's, you know, maybe £1,500, £2,000 and upwards, just the Floyd Rose on its own is probably dearer than any of these guitars that we've got here. Then there's like a 1,000 series. I think there might even be a 1,500 series, but there are 2 kind of like mid-price, good quality Floyds that you might find on guitars that would say 1,000 quid, that kind of dough. Then you get into the licensed Floyd Roses, which are basically where they're not genuine Floyd Roses. It's just the licensed design to someone else. Right. And those can be mega cheap. But the issue you have with those is if the alloys that are used in the metals for the screws that hold the strings in place, stuff like that, they're just softer alloys. Yeah. The alloys where against the posts here are soft. So you just tend to find that they're not as stable with their tuning, and like, you know, 2 or 3 years down the line, you might start finding that, you know, your screws start threading and things like that. So I've never been, I mean, I would never ever recommend somebody, you know, with less than a year or two's playing under their belt buys something with a Floyd Rose on it. And then once you do go down that Floyd Rose route, you've just got to accept that, you know, changing strings is a bit of a mission. And
always have your Allen keys on you. But they're in the back here.
Fair play to Kramer. Everybody used to do this back in the day, but now it's only Kramer seems to do it. You know, you're handy. That's that's the standard thing in Andertons, isn't it? Where's the Allen key for the nut? Oh, I can't find it. Lost it. Anyway, so that's that. Do you want to just try the other guitar before we, or should we? We might as well, hadn't we? I mean, John picked out a couple of guitars from the store. As I said, the Kramer doesn't quite get us in under the £500 budget. This
lovely East
Coast. Apologies about all the sellotape around the tremolo arm. This is purely and simply so that when all the tremolo arms are in a big drawer in Andertons, we know which guitars they fit. So this is 150 quid. Again, comes in various different colours. 2 humbuckers, same kind of vibe as the Kramer, but with a simpler trem system. Still
3-way.
Still actually a modern style contemporary 2-post trem, so there is a little bit of, you know, to and fro on that.
Yeah, it's more like a Strat style.
But yeah, we can get some tones from that.
Cool. So bridge pickup. Feels really nice.
Is that the Fender again? Or is
that the Marshall?
I can't. It's so weird. It's like.
So this is the Fender.
Yeah, I don't like it. I'm not sure. I think Fender modelling amplifiers do their own amps better than other people's amps. So if you like, you know, classic deluxe twin type sounds. Although again, maybe it'll sound great in the video. I don't know. In the room, I prefer the Marshall to the Fender.
I like the Marshall in the room as well. So middle position. So this is presumably both humbuckers. Actually, this will be a good opportunity to show the modulation delay.
Oh yes, go full ATs, please.
So we can get even cheesier than that. Let's go full. What did you say earlier? Gorgonzola. Let's go full Gorg.
Yes, you need to watch the other video if you want the cheese to hair metal kind of comparisons.
Let's go. What do they have a modulated reverb? Let's see.
Remember, people can win a clon as well when they subscribe.
Did you hear that, everybody? If you didn't, what Pete said was referencing this giveaway here, which is if you subscribe to the Andertons YouTube channel, when we hit 1 million subscribers, we shall pick one of you at random. You could be the first one, you could be the last one, you could be one in the middle. But that Klon, that original Klon up there, will be yours if you win.
Okay, here we go. So I've gone for a vintage style delay, just chorus and a hall reverb, and that sounds like this. Neck pickup.
Are you doing all that? Is that basically heavily driven and you've just got the volume rolled down?
Yeah, so it's on about 2.
I see.
Can probably go even cleaner.
Yes.
There we go. Well, White Snake, wasn't it?
Don't look at me like you
White
don't
Snake?
know.
No, I can't remember the name of the track. Technically an 80s riff.
Technically, yes.
So, neck pickup, let's just take some of that off. So, super simple, just smack it and it turns off. Let's give it a bit more, so back up to 10. Yeah, it's got a nice amount of like low end. That.
Yeah. So I mean that, again, we're trying to get 80s on a budget here, right? So I think if you take that guitar and any one of these amplifiers, you've probably got change out of about 400 quid, leaving you enough money to buy a pedal or two. And again, I think the Green Mile and the Green Tube are both somewhere in that 30 to 40 quid mark, I think. Actually, the crazy one on here is the Behringer one, which I think in our summer sale is 15 quid.
Yeah,
it's madness, isn't it?
Hilarious.
What can you buy for 15 quid these days? Even in the 80s, these were more than 15 quid.
You could get 10 bandanas for about that.
Wow, you could, couldn't you? Right, I will jump in now. So I've got an Ibanez, do you know what? I don't know what I've got, a GIO. And we sort of grabbed this because it kind of had this, it's from an S series, which is where it goes kind of thin on the edge and fat in the middle. And it sort of reminded me a little bit of like a Joe Satriani thing, although his is more rounded than this. Nita Strauss, I think, has a signature series that's a bit like this shape.
Yeah.
I'm sure someone else does as well.
Yeah.
Didn't Frank Gambale back in the day have like an Ibanez?
Oh, everyone was
series
Ibanez.
like
Even
this?
Petrucci back in the day was Ibanez, wasn't he? So.
Even Petrucci.
But he was at RG guy or something, wasn't he? Can't remember. What's that Rock Discipline video?
There's I don't think I ever saw the original one. I saw the one where there was a meme of it, where someone would go and he'd play Nuclear Fast, then he'd play Now Let Me Show It to You Slowly, and it'd be like maybe 5% slower than when he played it fast. But anyway, right. So I've got two amplifiers here. Katana 50 Mark II and the Line 6 Catalyst 60. So all of these amplifiers are roughly-ish in that sort of 50 watt kind of volume-wise. And I've got them both, again, set to like a crunch mode with gain about 3/4 of the way up. So we're not trying to do modern high gain metal here. We're trying to get more of that 80s kind of crunch. That's nice. With now if I put the Behringer Vintage Tube Overdrive. That's mad.
I know they get a lot of flack, but for 15 quid, that's fun. So.
You say that, and no, you are completely right. They do. The general perception, I think, comes from 20 or 30 years ago where Behringer absolutely had a bit of a run of form where it was just that stuff was so cheap and maybe some of their manufacturing wasn't as mature as it is now and they had reliability problems and all that kind of stuff. And it got that kind of reputation. And actually, nowadays, the stuff is still crazy affordable.
Yeah.
And I'm talking about everything from keyboards to speakers to pedals to everything they make. But they just seem to have got the manufacturing nailed down so that the failure rate is now, no worse than any other brand.
It's cheap and cheerful.
And you do look at that and go, and I tell you who does an amazing video talking about Behringer pedals is Josh from JHS about 2 years ago. And he raved about them. But 15 quid. I mean, it's like a posh set of strings is 15 quid, isn't it?
Yeah.
It's mad. So that's... And then the other brand which we love a lot here is Tone City. And one of their original pedals was called the Kaffir Lime, which Tone City never publicly said was a Tube Screamer clone, but if you look on all the forums and stuff, everybody reckons it's a Tube Screamer clone. The one that John had, the green tube, was much more of an official nod to it. But I quite like all the harmonics and stuff. Anyway, the other amplifier I've got here is the Catalyst, again on its crunch mode. I think of the four, the Catalyst is the one, certainly in its crunch mode, that sounds the most like a slightly older amplifier with not so much preamp gain in it. You have to choose a different... So I quite like that. And then when you stump the Tube Screamer on it, I think it kind of... It works more like an old... That was the Behringer, and then the Kaffir Lime.
Nice, yeah. The Catalyst seems like it has, when you like really dig in, you can hear the sort of clean signal behind the blend of the distorted one. Yeah. It's got more of that to it. Quite a lot of vintage amps do have that thing where...
The Catalyst is the most... it's the newest one of the four. Not that that necessarily means anything good, but I suppose, technologically, maybe the newest technology. Yeah. The Katana is the most popular. The Katana makes quite a big deal about the fact that most of the stuff in the Katana, certainly all the preamp stuff, is actually analog rather than relying on sort of digital emulation. I think there's pros and cons with all of them, to be honest with you.
Yeah.
I do still think that the Marshall's does great Marshall tones and is dead easy to use. I think the Fender, I've got to try and remember that. If I remember rightly, hasn't the Fender got all kinds of amazing USB stuff on it and stuff?
Oh yeah, around the back. Not the mic.
Let me show you the other guitar that I chose though, because this Ibanez is about £180 from memory, 180, 200, something like that. And again, similarly priced, maybe a shade over 200, is Squier's Affinity series. And you can absolutely buy this as a regular 3 single coil Strat if you want, but I thought something a little bit more hot rodded would be a 2 humbucker. I'm going to do like you did and give myself a little bit of delay as well. can't decide between the two.
That Behringer's hardly got any drive. It's not even at noon as well. I mean, the level's all the way up.
They're slightly different voicings, aren't they? I'm
Yeah.
not sure. None of them seem to roll off all the bass end in a way a regular tube screamer does.
This one did a pretty good job of that.
Yes, maybe you're right. I've gone back to the Boss. I don't really have a preference, to be honest with you. Some people like the mini footprint because you can get more pedals on your board like that. But there we are.
Which one would you go for if it was your money?
And that's the nub of it, isn't it? It's like, what would you buy? And bear in mind, of course, we're just focusing in on trying to get an 80s kind of sound, right? Rather than... one of the things I do remember sort of being slightly critical of the Catalyst on was, he says, trying to remember rightly, that's right, is that delay and modulation on the Catalyst was an either-or thing.
Okay.
So chorus and delay at the same time I don't think was possible. Although, again, you had all the options of boost pedals and different reverbs and all that kind of stuff. The on the Katana, delay and modulation were possible at the same time. In fact, I think they are on all of them except the Catalyst. But for basic tone, I think my favourite is the Catalyst.
Yeah, sure.
So
What about guitar and pedal?
Yeah.
let's swap. I mean, I really like this, and I really like that. I'm not the big Floyd Rose guy, so I probably
I'm not a
wouldn't-
massive Floyd guy. I had an Ibanez, I can remember, and it was their version of it. I think it's like a ZR tremolo.
Yeah.
The Ibanez one, and like I loved it, but like I just got a bit tired of it after a while. So yeah, I'm not as well, but I reckon.
Do you want to? Why don't you try my amp? There you go. That's my rig, and I'll have yours. That was the Boss, a Katana,
Okay.
and then that's the Catalyst.
Oh, that, yeah,
Let me
it feels
take
nice.
the,
Actually.
let me take the delay off. And then with a bit of...
Oh, that's loud.
That is...
That's screaming, isn't it?
Yeah, it is.
I was just about to say that I'm not even doing anything with the volume there.
I do
It
think
cleans
that-
up very well.
Yeah, I do think they've done a good job on that.
Yeah, let's try. It has two positions, doesn't it, of course? This, do you know what? I would probably go with this guitar. That's a nice feeling tremolo arm.
Yeah,
I think of all the ones I've just used.
yeah.
Obviously feels comfortable because it's just basically
It's very
Strat,
Stratty,
isn't it?
isn't it? Yeah.
And I like that neck pickup. In terms of scale length, are they
Should all be 25
Are they all about the same? Yeah, there's something like... Yeah, I'm going for this guitar. But I would probably go for the Marshall Code. Only for the reason that I like the way you can toggle things off there instead of going through a menu.
I'm going to jam out on this guitar. I kind of feel like for 150 quid, this is tons of value. I also know some of the other colours this comes in. I think it's kind of cool and a bit different.
Yeah.
And yeah, I like the Catalyst. So you're going... your rig is officially, I think, somewhere in the region of about £450 plus any pedals that you buy.
Yeah.
Mine'll be probably a little bit cheaper, but only driven by the fact the guitar's cheaper, maybe the 400-ish. But yeah, fair play, fair play. Let's do
Decent.
something. Now, we're going to stay on those kind of driven tones, but just with the volume kind of down to give it that kind of clean thing, and then we'll see if we can jam out and maybe just solo by turning the volume up on the guitar.
Yeah, I'm going to kick in one of these, I reckon. Yeah. Okay.
Okay.
Here we go. You solo first.
Well, what?